start with a presentation from Kingspan Environmental, then move on to the pipe insulation division of Kingspan before going into ducting, ductwork insulation, and then finally rounding up with BIM and a question and answer session at the very end.
Essentially what the heat pipe is a convection loop inside it, okay? So our solar radiation falls on our blue absorber plate here. We have a pipe in the back then. So inside this pipe is distilled water, okay? So this distilled water boils at 30 degrees C because it's inside in a vacuum. Evaporates up here to the condenser head, condenses. We've got our glycol passing across then in those manifolds, carries the heat down to our cylinder. So the heat's gone, steam comes back to water, falls down to the bottom again, and it just repeats. So that's your convection loop inside.
Moving on from that, in terms of product development and product technology, you've got the phenolic insulation products, which are a step up again in terms of the thermal performance of products. They are primarily used in HVAC applications, but they can be used in refrigeration as well. Their operating temperature is from -50 up to plus 110 degrees C. So it's quite a range that covers the standard HVAC applications. We don't have a standard product that can cope with the higher temperatures above 110 or 120 for the PIRs. But what is very relevant to HVAC is the use of the Cooltherm high performance pipe insulation products. We produce those in a couple of different manufacturing methods, either as a continuous lamination of a preformed pipe insulation, which cuts down on the wastage from a traditional block of insulation. You can see in the three methods along the top there that you're essentially cutting shapes of insulation from a solid block, but with the Cooltherm pipe insulation, you're manufacturing a preformed pipe section, which is much more efficient in terms of the materials.
You've got your traditional 4-bolt flange, which you'll recognise with metal ducting, and that's so it can adhere to any sort of metal fire dampers or fire-rated ductwork or other traditional ductwork. So the 4-bolt flange, and that's your sort of standard fixing mechanism. It's then got the aluminium gripper flange. So again, when you're working with leisure centres with swimming pools, obviously you can't have metal ductwork. It's a great way to join it up. It's also a lot more flush, so it can fit even closer to the soffit. Then we've got a tiger clip, which basically how you connect the board. It comes flat, it's got serrated teeth, so once you press it in, it's very difficult to take out. And that's more of a manual way of fixing, but gives you a very high air tightness on the duct. So yeah, people say, well, what are the limitations? How can we design? Well, we say, well, send us your designs and on your traditional metal ductwork, and we'll design it in cool duct. As you can see there, we can even do spiral ducting. You can put in your turning vanes. You've got your access hatches there. We can go in your fire dampers. Plenums is a really good one there as well. So, that's pretty much, you can see coming out of a standard board, it sort of gets grooved all the way, almost all the way through, then bends sort of concertinas to form a duct. And you can see, obviously, your supports, you can use a lot thinner gauge, so you can use something like cripple wire, anything like that. So that's your typical layout, based on DW144, so pressure losses and pressure drops are the same as your metal, so there's no real friction or resistance.
But what we tend to think of it is a sort of integrated model or collection of data, okay? So a centralized pot of data, that's really what we're thinking about. So if you think of it in terms of a tangible model, you have an architect that might have a model, you might have building services engineers will have a model, manufacturers will have models, and we're trying to bring those all together in an integrated modelling kind of aspect. That's a kind of sort of simple way of looking at it. BIM, by the way, is very much about the process, the way that we work. It's not about products, okay? So, when people talk about BIM products, these are just platforms that enable that process to happen. But the whole ethos behind BIM is by working in a more collaborative manner, okay, for the greater benefit. BIM, by the way, stands for Building Information Modelling or Building Information Management. It's all quite interchangeable, but BIM is BIM.
Essentially, I think it's been a really good opportunity for Kingspan as a group of companies to put a combined building services message over to people. We've obviously had Kingspan Tarek here today, represented for the pipe insulation. We've had Coolduct represented for the ducting, and Kingspan Environmental for the rainwater harvesting and for the solar photovoltaic type of products. I think that has given a very clear message that we can offer that integrated approach to consultants.
So the benefits that we primarily see of consultants or contractors attending an organised CPD event like this is that basically continued professional development is an integral part of any active designer, and because there's such a vast array of building material and environmental solutions out there, harnessing those all together in one day is, I suppose, it's an efficient use of time, and that's, I suppose, we as manufacturers, but also as engineers and designers and sales engineers as well at heart, we want to be seen as helping our consultants, helping our designers as much as possible.